And continuing breaking news coverage, students gather on Penn State's main campus there after learning Joe Paterno and the university president, Graham Spanier, were fired tonight. Channel 11's Julie Fine has just arrived. This statement came in from former head coach Paterno. He was speaking in his house to students. He said, quote, "Right now, I'm not the football coach, and that's something I have to get used to." Did we ever think we'd hear that this year anyway? The ouster of Joe Paterno, the Penn State Board of Trustees, firing the legendary coach just about an hour ago.
And as we said, thousands of students are gathering at Penn State campus. Channel 11's Courtney Brennan joins us live now with more. Courtney.
Darius, we heard that the Board of Trustees told Coach Joe Paterno this evening over the phone that he would no longer be the coach of the Penn State football team. David just read the statement that Paterno told reporters just a few minutes ago. Probably about 25 minutes before that, we got a written statement from ousted college president Graham Spanier. I just want to read a few lines from that. He said, "I am heartbroken to think that any child may have been hurt and have deep convictions about the need to protect children and youth. This university is a large and complex institution, and although I have always acted honorably and in the best interests of the university, the buck stops here." Now, this evening, the Board of Trustees did name an acting coach, Tom Bradley. He will be the one coaching on the sidelines as the head coach at Penn State here on Saturday against Nebraska. And then Rod Erickson is the interim president as of right now. Reporting live from State College, I'm Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.
All right, Courtney, thank you. And we now want to catch up with Julie Fine. She's live on Penn State's campus where students have been gathering, obviously, in reaction to this news. Julie.
On East Beaver Avenue right now. I want to get out of the way quickly and show you what's going on here. You are looking at thousands of students right now, and I mean it. It's got to be about 1,000 students right in front of them. You can see a bunch of police cars. We heard at the news conference tonight they were concerned about what was going to happen. So far, we haven't seen any problems. What we're hearing is just a lot of people upset about Joe Paterno. Take a look at that sign right there, Joe Pa or Bust. People came out immediately after the announcement that Joe Paterno would not be coaching this weekend. Interestingly, this is the same group that was calling for Spanier to resign. People were happy about that. But right now, everybody just hanging out here on East Beaver Avenue. So far, there are no problems. But again, we've been told more police have been called to this scene here. We'll be here. We'll bring you any developments. We're live in State College. Julie Fine, Channel 11 News.
Just chaos unfolds on Penn State's campus overnight. Students riot after head coach Joe Paterno is fired. Much more on that in a moment. Good morning to you. 6 o'clock right now, Thursday, November 10th. I'm Jennifer Abney along with Todd McDermott. And again, we'll have much more out of State College for you throughout the morning.
Thanks, and pray a little bit for those victims.
He said pray for those victims. We've been following breaking news overnight as Penn State's Board of Trustees fires head coach Joe Paterno and the university president Graham Spanier in the wake of the child sex abuse scandal there. Paterno and his wife addressed a crowd outside their home late last night. We're covering every angle of this major breaking story with a team of reporters in State College and here in Pittsburgh.
I want to bring you up to date with what's happened since late last night. So Paterno announced yesterday that he would retire as head coach at the end of the season, but last night the Board of Trustees decided to fire Paterno as well as the university's president, Graham Spanier, effective immediately.
Police in riot gear then had to clash with students on the State College campus overnight. Crowds toppled a television news van, among other chaos, while officers used pepper spray to try to control that crowd.
Outside of Paterno's home overnight, a more peaceful gathering where Paterno thanked his supporters and asked them to pray for the victims. Our team of reporters in State College was caught right in the middle of the riots on campus overnight. Channel 11's Julie Fine has more on the situation unfolding from College Avenue.
With everything happening at Penn State tonight, our photographers were in the middle of all of it when the riots broke out. Now, here's what happened. We heard about a news truck that was overturned, so we went down to get video of that. Our photographers went down the street to get that. Courtney Brennan and I actually stayed in our news vans to make sure nothing happened to them. While our photographers were down there, they were hit with mace, they were hit with mud, and they were hit with water bottles. Finally, a Penn State student came up the street and told us we better get out of there because they may overturn other cars. Courtney and I actually left the scene. We were able to meet up with our photographers a short time later, but they described an extremely chaotic scene down the street. We saw it as well. At certain times, people came running up to us. A very difficult night at Penn State. At one point, students actually got a text to get out of downtown and to return home. We will continue with coverage on this all day today. In State College, Julie Fine, Channel 11 News.
Joe Paterno attempted a preemptive move by announcing yesterday morning he would resign at the end of the season. But last night, the Board of Trustees made the decision to fire him and the university president effective immediately. Channel 11's Brandon Hudson joins us from our newsroom with more on that decision. Brandon?
Todd's our crews chased university leaders around campus for answers. For most of the day, the Board of Trustees stiff-armed the press and kept quiet until late last night. Word of a press conference and cameras and reporters scrambling to the Penn State Hotel. One of our photographers caught the chaos unfold. When the board sat down to address the situation, they asked for student, staff, and alumni support.
I would hope that everyone would agree that what we're doing is what we believe in our best judgment is in the best long-term interest of the university, which is much larger than athletic programs.
Organized a rally on campus during the announcement. As you saw earlier, it got out of hand at times. In the aftermath, Tom Bradley is named interim head coach. Bradley could coach as many as 5 games this season, including a Big Ten championship and Rose Bowl if the Nittany Lions win its division and conference. Of course, starts with a win over Nebraska on Senior Day Saturday. Reporting live, Brandon Hudson, Channel 11 News.
And news of the trustees' decision to fire Joe Paterno is all over social media this morning. There are actually several Facebook pages both for and against the board's decision. On the page Support Joe Paterno, Chris Clanton writes, "We give our support and our respect to Joe Pa. The best of luck and support to your program's future." Now, some different feelings expressed on a page called Joe Paterno Must Go. Stephanie Gonzalez writes, "Paterno gave PSU a name and then tarnished it in the end." And this is a look at the website of the Penn State student newspaper, the Daily Collegian. Pictures on that homepage show students reacting to the news, and you can see they're visibly upset over Paterno's firing.
The artist who painted a large mural on the Penn State campus has removed Jerry Sandusky's face from that painting. Michael Pilato says he decided to make the change after he got an email from the mother of one of Sandusky's alleged young victims. A blue ribbon has been added in place of Sandusky's face to remember victims of child abuse. The artist says this is the first time he's ever had to remove a person from the mural. Now, it's important to point out here that Coach Paterno and University President Graham Spanier are also part of that mural. No word on whether their faces might be removed. Again, our big breaking news coverage today, the Penn State sex abuse scandal. Thousands of students riot in State College last night after Joe Paterno is fired. News of Paterno's firing making headlines throughout the country. This is our news partner, the Tribune Review's headline today. Paterno fired, scandal ends, 61-year career.
Now, this story has been developing all throughout the evening and morning, so here are the latest details that you need to know about. Paterno fired late last night by the Penn State Board of Trustees. Defensive coordinator Tom Bradley will take over as the interim coach at Penn State. He'll be on the sideline Saturday when they play Nebraska. University President Graham Spanier also has been fired. Executive Vice President Rodney Erickson serving as the interim president. Now, these moves take effect immediately. So moments after the announcement, students began rioting on the Penn State campus. Our crew was actually caught right in the middle of it.
Our team coverage starts with Channel 11's Julie Fine at State College.
We actually just had to leave downtown because of everything that happened. Our photographers were in the thick of everything. They first went down to take a picture of the overturned news truck. While they were there, they were hit with mace, they were hit with mud, and they were hit with water bottles. Now, I was up the street with Courtney Brennan. We were actually in our news trucks because we wanted to make sure nothing happened to them. While we were there, a small group of Penn State students told us we needed to move immediately because they thought that they were going to be overturning more trucks. So that's what we did. We eventually met up with our photographers a short time later. Again, a very difficult evening with all of the students on the streets. At one point, they did get a text from the university to return home. In State College, Julie Fine, Channel 11 News.
And we should also mention that no one was hurt when that news truck was tipped over. It was an emotional scene overnight outside of Paterno's house. That's where the former coach and his wife greeted hundreds of fans who gathered there to show their support. Our team coverage continues this morning with Channel 11's Brandon Hudson.
Jennifer, you saw just how crazy it was in Julie's story. It wasn't like that outside of Joe Paterno's house. Some of his supporters left flowers on his doorstep. Last night, Joe Pa and his wife Sue walked outside their house to this. Paterno's wife looks like she was moved to tears. Paterno didn't have much to say. He did thank everyone who's been by his side during the scandal.
Hey, you guys are great, and all of you. When I say guys, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, girls too. All right. Hey, look, get a good night's sleep. All right, study. All right. We still got things to do. All right. I'm out of it maybe now. A phone call put me out of it, but we'll go from there. Okay. Hey, good luck, everybody. Hey, thanks for coming.
Paterno also asked the students to pray for the victims. Paterno released a statement shortly after the board's firing announcement saying, quote, "Right now, I'm not the football coach, and that's something I have to get used to," end quote. Early yesterday, Paterno said that he would resign at the end of the season, but the board's vice chairman said swift changes were necessary and in the long-term best interest of the university. Reporting live, Brandon Hudson, Channel 11 News.
As you know from yesterday, Paterno tried to say he would last till the end of the season, but as we mentioned, when he was fired last night, University President Graham Spanier was also dismissed effective immediately. An announcement was made during a news conference by the university's Board of Trustees. Channel 11's Courtney Brennan was there.
The Board of Trustees finally made an announcement late last night here at the Penn Stater Hotel, and when they dropped the news, it was a big one, firing both Coach Joe Paterno and college president Graham Spanier. It was literally a chase across Penn State's campus last night, and then we and the rest of the press finally found the Board of Trustees at the Penn Stater Hotel. We tried to get information, but no one would talk. Several hours passed, and then around 10:15, the Board of Trustees finally called a press conference and told us President Spanier and Coach Paterno were out. They asked Penn State fans everywhere to support their decision.
I would hope that everyone would agree that what we're doing is what we believe in our best judgment is in the best long-term interest of the university, which is much larger than athletic programs.
An acting head coach has been named Tom Bradley, and he will coach the Penn State football team this Saturday. I'm sure we'll find out today much more how the students plan to prepare for that game and also what the school will do. Reporting in State College, I'm Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.
Now, a Philadelphia newspaper is reporting that Spanier actually resigned before he was actually fired by the Board of Trustees. That may have been a mistake, but here's the statement he did release upon finding out and the release that he had been fired. "I am heartbroken to think that any child may have been hurt and have deep convictions about the need to protect children and youth. This university is a large and complex institution. Although I have always acted honorably and in the best interest of the university, the buck stops here."
He asked me if I would take the job as interim football coach, and I accepted.
Tom Bradley has a tough task ahead of him as he takes over as head coach of a team in turmoil. Tom Bradley dreamed of one day being the man to lead the Nittany Lions, but not like this.
Again, he's been there more than 30 years. He was introduced as interim coach today, hours after the firing of the legendary Joe Paterno and the rioting on campus in response to that dismissal.
If I grieve for the victims, I grieve for the families. Deeply saddened by that. It's with great emotion that I say that. And you know, the football part, we will get working on that right away. Right now, I think you should know where our team is toward this whole issue, and it's toward those children, it's toward their families, and our thoughts and our prayers are with them.
Now, we have a team of reporters and photographers in State College. Our coverage begins here at noon with Courtney Brennan, live with what the Nittany Lion players are saying about that big coaching change. Courtney?
Todd, that interim coach Tom Bradley just wrapped up his press conference here at Beaver Stadium, and while that was going on, we're seeing several students, several other folks coming here to Beaver Stadium and posing with that iconic statue of Coach Joe Paterno. Now, we did get a chance to speak with some of the members of the Penn State football team as they were heading into their morning workout just about an hour ago. They seemed very somber and told us it's hard to focus on Saturday's game while all of this is going on, but in some way, all of this has brought them closer together as a team. The players walked into the Lash football building to get in a workout before their 2 o'clock practice. They told us they were shocked when the Board of Trustees rejected their coach's resignation last night and instead fired Paterno. Now, you'll remember that Paterno broke down when he told the players yesterday that he would retire at the end of the season.
With all the respect that all of us have for Joe, and as long as he's worked for Joe, he didn't want it to be like this. You know, we all wish that Joe could be with us, but you know, it is what it is, and they made the decisions that they made, and you know, we have to move on.
Joe had already notified everybody that he was kind of going to step down anyway, so we thought they'd at least give him the courtesy to let him play out the season. So it's a big shock to all of us to see that he's not going to be able to finish out the year.
Now, the players told us that at the beginning of the season, it's always been their goal to make it to the Big Ten championship, and that goal has not changed. Reporting live outside Beaver Stadium, I'm Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.
Courtney, thank you. Julie Fine now joins our team coverage here at noon.
And Julie, a lot of students are not thrilled with Jopa's firing. How is the campus after the rioting last night?
Well, people are still pretty upset here. We got in touch with the State College Police Department. They're actually going to send out a release. We're hoping to find out the number of arrests last night. I talked to University Police about that as well. Basically, what they told me is that they're busy working on security for Saturday. Now, I'm standing right now where those riots took place, and we spent the afternoon talking to students. A news truck is flipped on its side, and our photographers were in the middle of it all, getting hit with mace, mud, and water bottles. It looked like thousands of Penn State students in the street. Street lights literally shaking that eventually went down. When a few students told us that our live trucks were in danger, with kids heading towards us, Courtney Brennan and I had to move them to a safe location.
You are hereby ordered to disperse immediately.
At one point, a police officer told my photographer, "These kids are more upset with you than us." Today, businesses are open on College Avenue. I went into a few and was told no damage inside any of them. We were able to find a few students on the street today who were out last night during the riot.
I think it was definitely justified.
But to injure property?
I don't think they should have injured property, but I mean, I don't really know how they didn't expect a huge riot like that.
And it started getting scary and just sad. Like Jopa, we were there for Jopa, and he would have been so disappointed.
There is still Joe Paterno's picture outside of the family clothesline, where we found someone painting a Nittany lion with a tear.
We wanted to put this in front of the We Are Penn State to show everyone that we still have solidarity and that, you know, this is still the Penn State.
Now, throughout most of this, students have been gathering at Old Main. We have now seen through Twitter that the president of the student government will be addressing them there at 12:30. We're going to head over and see what happens from there. And of course, we'll continue to work to find out what police are doing and what those arrest numbers were. We're live in State College. Julie Fine, Channel 11 News.
Students cheered "We Love You, Joe" as Paterno spoke just moments after learning he would no longer be the coach at Penn State. That's Paterno and his wife outside their home. She looks like she was moved to tears. Paterno did not have much to say. He did thank everyone who has been on his side during this scandal.
You guys are great, and all of you. When I say guys, you know what I mean.
wants to talk to us.
You know what I mean, girls too. All right. Hey, look, get a good night's sleep. All right, study. All right. We still got things to do. All right, I'm out of it maybe now. A phone call put me out of it, but we'll go from there, okay? Hey, good luck, everybody. Hey, thanks for coming.
Paterno also asked the students to pray for the victims of the alleged sexual abuse. Paterno also released a statement shortly after the board's announcement. He said, "Right now, I'm not the football coach, and that's something I have to get used to."
Interim coach Tom Bradley said that Mike McQueary will be coaching this weekend. He is the key witness in the Sandusky sex abuse case, and we're trying to track him down today. Target 11 investigator Rick Earl examines what's next.
This sex abuse scandal has already claimed 3 administrators and 2 football coaches. The question here at State College is, will there be more? Today, the focus is on the role of wide receivers coach Mike McQueary, who was seen Wednesday at practice with Joe Paterno. McQueary was the graduate assistant who witnessed Jerry Sandusky allegedly sexually abusing a child in the shower at Penn State a decade ago. McQueary went to Paterno, but should he have done more? Should he have gone to police? We have yet to hear from McQueary, but his father defended him, saying he did the right thing. As the questions swirl around McQueary, Governor Tom Corbett is expected to be here for the Board of Trustees meeting on Wednesday. Corbett called on the board to take swift action. 12 hours later, the board had fired Paterno and President Graham Spanier. I also spoke to the Attorney General's office, and they tell me this is a very active, ongoing investigation and that they are following up on new leads as we speak. In State College, Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
And keep it right here on 11 for coverage of this big story in this newscast and throughout the day. Coming up in just a few minutes, a vigil held at Joe Paterno's statue.